your notification bell.
Howdy, howdy, we're getting all loaded up to go on a field trip to get rowdy. We're gonna go ahead, close up this door, and when we open it up, we'll magically be in Sand Hollow. I know that was a super cheesy transition, but you guys are here for the wheeling and not the road trip, so I did it anyway. Time to get everybody packed up and head to the trail.
Comfy. Oh. Hey guys, it's Jess. We're in Sand Hollow. It's cold, it's rainy, still doing things. And I look like a babushka.
That's right, Jess looks just like a babushka. If you don't know what that means, it's an old Russian grandmother, and Jess somehow matched their style today exactly. They dress like that because Russia is unreasonably cold, and it just happens to turn out today's weather in Sand Hollow is exactly the same. You would have never guessed that this was the end of April. April's usually the last tolerable month that we can wheel before it gets way too hot. That's right, we made it to Sand Hollow. We're kind of booking it and filming from inside the rig here because we came into some bad weather. It's supposed to be raining off and on all day today. It's supposed to be better tomorrow, but we're just trying to haul butt and catch a couple trails before it gets poured on. We made it through the first trail, and it's not dry out here, but it's also not drenched. I'd consider the conditions moist. Oof, moist. There's just something not right with that word, and it grosses me out. Anyways, we've been getting a lot of comments on my bald tires, and people are tripping on how in the world we do what we do with such bald tires. Well, we're not mud boggers, we're rock crawlers. So you'll see in this V-notch, this is a perfect example. It's just like drag cars, how they run slick tires on a track because there's more contact patch, which equals more traction. Now I know what you're thinking, then why are the best off-road tires always have gnarly lugs, and why rock crawler tires come with lugs if they work better with no lugs? Well, most off-roaders need a tire that can do well in mud, sand, and wet terrain. We mostly just do rocks, and why rock crawler tires have lugs is so that way it helps you in sand and other terrain when you come across it. But they make a sticky compound for us, which makes those lugs squish and flatten out to create more contact patch. So it really doesn't matter if your tires are bald or if they have the lugs when you have a sticky tire, because they're still squishing down to get the best contact patch there is. And it's actually better when they're a little more bald because you get more contact patch. But new sticky tires are still great. You also see here when I get out of this V-notch and into the sand, it becomes a hell of a struggle. Not only do I have no lugs in the front, but I'm running around 500 pounds of water in my front tires. It's making me sink even more. But the second that I get one of my bald tires on the rock, I'm able to drive through just fine.
Howdy, let's get rowdy!
Colby couldn't be more right. We started off on some trails that we had done before just to see how the weather was going to hold up. So far, it's held up, and we're itching to hit some bigger trails that we've had on our hit list for quite some time. First up is Keilmans Crack. This obstacle looks super rad, but I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit awkward talking about if you don't know what it is. It just sounds like you're talking about being in some dude's butt crack. Boy, I hope it doesn't rain, then it's going to sound like we're in some dude's wet butt crack. Okay, I can't do it anymore. I'm just going to refer to this as Keilmans Trail. This notch is super unique because you're going to see here, you're going to come in and there's a huge overhang on the left. And when you're coming into it, there's a shelf that had fell down, and you're going to climb that kind of like a waterfall. When your front left gets on top of that, there's a huge undercut, and you have to somehow get your tire up on that crack that's actually undercut and inverted, which makes it super difficult to actually get up there. Once you get up there, then you got to worry about your rears. You're going to point it into the blunt face of that, and it's going to want to bind. But you're going to go ahead and take that out, put it in rear dig. When you put it in rear dig, you're going to stomp on that brake pedal. That way, it locks your front so it doesn't fall off the face of that rock. And then you're going to give it gas, and as you're giving it gas, you're going to turn that rear, and you're going to work its way up. And then once it starts going up, throw it in all four. And then from there, it's pretty straightforward. You just don't fall off. All right, it's my turn, and we're looking at it from the top of the obstacle instead of the bottom. Now you're gonna see it's just like a standard crack on the passenger side, but on the driver's side, it's completely inverted. So it's gonna make it really difficult to get your driver's side tires up onto that inversion to get lined up in the crack and complete this. First off, we have this big rock cropping that fell out from the bottom of that inverted crack that you're gonna have to straddle and get over. Once you're over that, you're gonna see my front driver's side tire is gonna actually get stuck underneath this undercut. And that's where you're gonna have to do front dig, and then you're gonna have to work it back and forth and really try to search for that traction and get it to bind, bite, and then get it to start up that wall. And once it starts, you're gonna pop it into all four. Once you pop it into all four, you're gonna hope that it actually gets enough traction to get through that undercut and then stick to the top of the inverted wall there. Now that I got my fronts up there, I want to make sure that I keep even pressure on either side and then stick really centered on there so that way one side doesn't fall in and get me stuck in this crack. Now the tricky part is now I got to get my rears up there. My rears are in that undercut. I'm going to do the same thing. Instead of a front dig, I'm going to put it in rear only and do a rear dig. Once that tire starts coming up, I'm going to put it on all four and have my rear axles follow exactly where my fronts went. You can see in this spot right here that I have very little bit of my tires touching either side of these walls. And that's okay as long as you don't go too far to one side or the other. It's actually going to get a really good amount of traction because you're really pushing force when you're leveled in this crack, and it gives you a lot of bite and a lot of traction. If you were to drop one side, all you'd have to do is stop, put it in whichever front or rear axle that dropped, and then do a dig and have it correct back onto the wall. But as for now, I'm out of the crack. It just started raining and I avoided being in somebody's wet butt crack.
Yeah, let's get through this section before it starts raining quite hard. This one? There's a good crack right here.
Okay. Right when we get into some dirty shit, it rains. This is how it goes. But if we're gonna do the easy stuff, it's all nice. And the harder stuff, welcome to Weather Town. Now that the weather has gotten all drippy on us, I want to go back to talking about tires. Now, ball tires are not the best for rock crawling. They do, however, have their advantages when you're purely on dry rock because it makes more of a contact patch and gets more surface area for you to grab traction. Due to our rigs not having windshields, being set up for rain and snow, because that's not what we wheel just wheel the rocks, and we have these huge floorboard holes to be able to see the front tires, which allows the mud, rain, or snow to come flying into our cab. We try to avoid weather like this at all costs. It's not what we built these rigs for. But let me tell you, having good tread and lugs on your tires helps by clearing out the mud and sand, and when wheeling in loose rock, dirt, or mud, it has way more bite. You'll see on my tires, just from rolling around in the wet sand, get completely covered. When I get up to a rock face and spin my tires, it just spreads the sand all around my tires and doesn't clear out very well. If you take a look at the green Get Nuts Sammy, it has about 15% more tread than I do, which is not much but makes a massive difference. Take a look at his tires as he's working the crack. You'll see where the tire contacts the rock that the sand is clearing, which means that the tire will get more traction to help you get through this obstacle. You'll see right here that the driver's front is already clearing itself out, and then the passenger rear, half the tire is cleared out. That's because those are the spots that's making the most contact, which is pushing that sand in between the lugs and clearing that tire out. The other two tires, they have sand on them because there's not as much pressure on them, but that's okay. The ones that are getting the most pressure, the ones that are going to bite the most. It's been raining pretty good for a while now, and we need to head back to camp. We could take option A, take the easiest route and haul ass back, or take option B, take another short but hard trail out called War Machine. You know darn well what option that we're going to take, but the babushka Jess and I weren't going to get in and out and get more soaked than we already are. So we didn't get out much or get any good footage, but this is what we have, and boy was it a struggle with the trail being as soaked as it was. Option B always sounds like a great idea until it's not. We've all been here trying to push one last trail or one last obstacle, and then the carnage comes all at once and all at the worst time. Our buddy Ty had been here all week and done this trail a few times. Add some Mother Nature's slip compound to the mix and over it goes. Of course, even though it was raining on us and colder than hell, we still made the best out of it and got him recovered.
What do you guys do if you like this video?
What do we do?
I'm gonna diddle your notification bell. Well, we did a bunch of really cool trails. We froze our butts off. We got soaking wet. Hopefully we can warm up and go back out later. It'll be a lot better time. But as for now, we're frozen. Not a lot of fun though. Not every trip goes as planned and not every day is sunshine and rainbows. It's days like this that make you appreciate the good weather. Make sure to catch our next video, which is day 2 of this trip, with the highly anticipated visit to King's Crack. Will I try it, or will I wuss out yet again? Best way to support this channel is by giving that subscribe button a little skiddly-doo, diddle that notification bell, give this video the fat finger, and leave a dirty little comment below. And as always, thanks for watching.